Today, I'm going to share a story, one that's been buried in silence for over 20 years. A story from a place where the world's most valuable books are kept, and where something else lingers in the shadows. This is what happened when I worked at Windsor Castle's Royal Library, and why I believe it's truly haunted. Back in the late 1980s, I started working at Windsor Castle, specifically in the Royal Library. I wasn't anyone important, just a junior library assistant. My job was to handle rare books, help with cataloging, and assist with preserving centuries-old materials. The Royal Library isn't open to the public. It's a silent, sacred space, tightly regulated, temperature controlled, and always dimly lit to protect the fragile manuscripts. But what no one warned me about was the paranormal silence that lived within those walls. A silence that didn't mean peace, it meant presence. I didn't believe in ghosts back then. I thought all of that was just stories. Until 1992. One evening, I was working late in one of the archive rooms, just organizing a few books on the shelves. I turned around, and standing in the doorway was a woman. She wore an elaborate, old-fashioned gown, a stiff white collar, and had striking red hair. She didn't say a word, didn't blink, just stood there, staring. It was Queen Elizabeth I, or at least something that looked exactly like her. Then, without a sound, she walked backward into the wall and vanished. I froze. I didn't drop the book I was holding. I didn't scream. I just stood there, paralyzed. The west side of the library had its own horror, something staff whispered about but never openly discussed. A black dog. I saw it twice. It would just appear. It walked silently through the hallway, calm, steady. But when you looked at it directly, it would disappear instantly. Some said the dog was tied to the spirit of a young prince who died in childhood. Others thought it was an omen. All I knew was that every time I saw it, it sent chills straight down my spine. But those weren't isolated events. Strange things happened all the time. Footsteps above your head when no one was upstairs. Pages flipping in books that no one had touched. Cold spots in rooms with sealed climate control. Whispers, in Latin or French, when the room was completely empty. A man in outdated clothes staring out from a locked archive room. When we opened it, the room was empty. That incident shook me the most. I remember staring back at that man through the glass and realizing I wasn't looking at someone living. The strangest part, no one ever officially talked about it. It was like an unspoken rule. Don't ask, don't tell. Working in a royal residence came with quiet expectations. You followed orders. You didn't make waves, and you never asked about the things that went bump in the night. But the longer I stayed, the heavier it all felt. Every hallway carried weight. Every silence felt alive. In 2003, after my third child was born, I decided to leave. Part of me wanted to stay home with my kids, but another part of me was just done. Windsor Castle had left its mark on me, emotionally and spiritually. I've never been back. And honestly, I don't want to. There's something ancient in that place, something restless. And while most visitors see the grandeur and history, I saw what hid behind it. Thank you for listening to my story. If this gave you chills, give it a like. And if you've ever experienced something paranormal, drop your story in the comments, because maybe, just maybe, you're not alone.